Hello, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're interested in mainly jiu-jitsu coming from the perspective of sort of a random average purple belt female, then you're in the right place. If you're interested in a little bit of health and fitness and wellness, then you're also in the right place. Today we're gonna chat about relationships in jiu-jitsu and sort of how to navigate that. I think hookups and relationships are kind of inevitable in jiu-jitsu because it's just like anything else, right? You're in a small space with the same people every day and you all share this common interest, so it's bound to happen at some point. I'm specifically making this video for somebody who commented saying that she just very recently started jiu-jitsu about a month ago, probably a little bit over a month now, and she loves it, but she's developing an interest for one of her training partners and she's pretty sure that he's doing the same. And I think her question is just how to handle the situation, how to navigate it, and where to go from here. So I am a little biased in this subject and I will go into that in a minute, but I think there's two sides to this and I want to talk about both. So I'm a little biased and I kind of lean a little bit more towards one side because I met my husband through jiu-jitsu. And they kind of both happened at the same time. So just a little bit of a backstory just to give you an idea. I started off jiu-jitsu training at a UFC gym. And if anybody knows what a UFC gym is, it's a huge gym where you can have regular workouts in. And then they also typically have a jiu-jitsu program. At the time, this was now over 8 years ago, my husband was one of the head instructors of the jiu-jitsu program. One random night during the week, I used to work out really late at night after I finished up my restaurant job. So it was probably like 11 o'clock at night. I was finishing up my workout. My now husband, Todd, he came over and started up a conversation with me, and I knew that he was one of the head instructors, so I had inquired about jiu-jitsu because I had been wanting to learn some self-defense. And from there on, he invited me to do a session with him, and later on I found out he definitely had another motive other than teaching me jiu-jitsu, but it all worked out for the better. So I guess long story short, I started taking jiu-jitsu lessons with him and we then started dating. But fun fact, I was actually too afraid to actually go into a real jiu-jitsu class for a little over a year, probably about a year and a half since taking lessons with him. When I first started, I hated jiu-jitsu, and even after some lessons with him, I didn't want to do it. And then about a year and a half later, one random day, I was just like, I think I want to try jiu-jitsu again. And then eventually I hopped into class. I never stopped, and now we're married. So I feel like I sort of had the best possible outcome when it came to a jiu-jitsu relationship. But it was also a little bit different because by the time I actually started going into an actual class, we had been dating for about a year and a half at that point. So personally, I've never been involved with the situation of training jiu-jitsu and being attracted to somebody in class and sort of dealing with that scenario of talking and then maybe dating somebody that I've been training with in the room because, well, I've just been with Todd the whole time. So it's a little bit different, and I think we need to navigate that a little bit differently. So let's hop into the other side of this, which is maybe a little bit more negative, but I think if you're gonna potentially, talk to or date somebody that you train with, there's just things that you have to keep in mind and that you just have to be careful of. Personally, I think dating somebody in jiu-jitsu is really, really wonderful. But I have seen instances where people start dating and then things go sour and the training for both people involved is affected. It's not that I'm trying to be a negative Nancy, but there's just things that you have to keep in mind if you're gonna date somebody from your gym. First things first, if you decide to pursue talking with this person and eventually maybe dating them, if the relationship or whatever you got going on ended up not working out, would you both be okay still training in the same school? I would imagine that you probably love your school and wouldn't want to leave for any reason. So if things just ended up not working out, would it be awkward? Would you feel uncomfortable being in the same room with this person that you're no longer talking to? And I think there's definitely a way to navigate that. I have seen it firsthand where couples break up and they're still training at the same school. And at least from my perspective on the outside, it looks like everything's okay. You know, they kind of just stay away from each other and they train with their own people. They don't roll together. So it can definitely be done. But like I keep saying, it's just something that you have to think about, because I have seen other cases where people date for a long time and then they break up, and one person typically ends up having to leave. And I mean, thankfully, where I'm from, there are so many schools on Long Island. Long Island is very saturated with jiu-jitsu and more schools keep popping up. So really, there's always kind of somewhere to train, especially if you are open to driving a little bit to different locations. But I am also aware that not everywhere is like that. So, you know, if you live in an area where your jiu-jitsu school is like really the only option, unless you drove another 2 hours somewhere else, just keep that in mind. If you decide to pursue whatever you got going on, especially when it's very new, and especially when you are very new to the school, try to keep whatever you have going on in your relationship or just hookup scenario, whatever you're doing, keep it off the mat. I think this kind of mainly applies if there was ever any kind of drama, or if you guys ever had some sort of argument and you're not getting along. I cannot stress this enough. Do not bring that negativity and whatever you got going on onto the mat. People want to go there to train, and they want to go there to feel good, and they want to relieve the stress of what they have going on in their lives. So to hear about the negative situation you have going on, or if they see any kind of negativity between you and the person that you're talking to or dating, it just creates bad energy in the room. And it all comes down to, for that 1 hour or 2 hours, people want to go there to get their workout. They want to go there to learn, and they want to go and they want to be in a positive space to sort of forget or just let go of what they have going on in their life. And I mention this because I have seen another instance where something did happen on the mats and it did have to be taken care of, and one person ended up having to leave. So if it's a newer relationship, or when you just start talking to somebody, and especially if you're a new student to the school, not everybody has to be all up in your personal business, you know? And then one last little tidbit about sort of the not so fun stuff about potentially talking to somebody in your jiu-jitsu school. Don't let this affect your training. Always remember that you started training for your own personal reasons, and don't let this new person that you have an interest in be the reason that you go to class every day. And if things go sour, don't let this person be the reason that you don't go to class every day. You started jiu-jitsu outside of this person, so keep doing jiu-jitsu for you. So now, on a lighter note, let's talk about some reasons why dating somebody who trains jiu-jitsu is pretty freaking great. I think that we can all agree that jiu-jitsu is a special kind of hobby, you know what I mean? It's very different. It's different than just going to the gym and working out. So sometimes dating somebody who doesn't train jiu-jitsu, and especially if you're fully in it and you've been maybe training for a little while and you train most days of the week, dating somebody who's not involved, sometimes, not all the time, don't come at me, they may not understand why you want to train so much. They may not understand why you want to always be at your academy. So dating somebody who trains as well understands the schedule. This person understands your desire to go to class all the time. They understand your desire to want to keep learning, and almost kind of like this addiction that you've developed to it. They understand why a few days out of the week you're probably not going to be eating dinner at the usual hour because you're going to be training. Or dating somebody who also trains, they understand the hard work that goes into it. They understand the grind, and they understand the strength that it takes to show up every day. And it's not like you need somebody to understand all of these things. It's just, I don't know, it's just nice. All throughout my now 7 years of training, I go to Todd with everything. Everything that I do in class, things that I'm having trouble with, roles that I was not very happy with if they're with certain people, and just all of the issues that I face in jiu-jitsu and all of the good things that I face in jiu-jitsu, I go to him with, because I know that he understands understands. He's been training for forever, so he's been through it all. And even if he hasn't been through some of the things that I have, because I'm a woman and it's different training jiu-jitsu if you're a woman versus a man, but he just has a different understanding than somebody outside of the community would. And probably one of my favorite aspects of dating somebody who also trains jiu-jitsu is you always have a training partner. You always have a buddy to drill with at random hours of the day. You may not necessarily like drilling or rolling with that person in class because maybe you got your own people, and that's totally fine. But outside of actually going to regular class, you always have somebody that you can get some extra training in with. That's if you enjoy training with that person, because I know a lot of times, and I say this because I've experienced it for a very long time, sometimes couples don't always work well when they train together. For me, it was a very, very long work in progress to be able to enjoy training with Todd. But we did get to a point where I remember, this is when I was still training at UFC and we could just go there. It was a 24-hour gym, so we could go there whenever we wanted. And we would go there on a Saturday and we would just roll for like an hour. We were able to roll like that. This is kind of a side note and off topic, but I think we sort of entered into like this flow state where we no longer would get tired. And those were my favorite kinds of rolls, where we would just go nonstop for like 45 minutes to an hour. And the point of me even telling that is just because when we had nothing better to do, we would just go and train. And I just think it's really special when you have somebody that you can go and do that with. So to wrap all of this up, I personally am all for you dating somebody in jiu-jitsu. I think if they go to your school, and I think that if you are very new to jiu-jitsu, like this person that asked this whole question, I would just be a little bit more cautious. Jiu-jitsu is a very tight-knit space, and to me, having something come in the way of that or just adding more drama to my life, it's not really worth it. So just keep these things in mind. Be careful, be cautious, but if you really feel like it could be worth it, I don't know, go for it. As always, if anybody watching has their own personal experience with this, whether it's good and you guys have been dating for a really long time, or if you're like me and you ended up getting married, leave a comment and share your story. If you are someone who dated somebody in jiu-jitsu and it ended up not working out and you have some valuable information to share, leave a comment and let us know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next video, I will see you guys next time.